screen.
Great.
Okay, so welcome everybody. This is LA Web Professionals March 2026 meeting with our dear friend, Michael Mondragon. And we want to make sure that everybody is getting in and situated. We are live on YouTube as well as on this Zoom broadcast. My name is Anissa Barton Thompson. I'm a social media specialist and web developer at Cal State Dominguez Hills. And I am a co-manager along with my pal, Daniel Kramer, web developer and social media specialist extraordinary as well. And we are the co-founders for LA Web Professionals, but all of you joining us make up the LA Web Professionals group. So thank you for joining us again today. We're going to get started with our special guest for tonight. This is Michael Mondragon, and we know him as a wonderful educator, digital graphic artist. I think you're an author, speaker, trainer. He does all the fantastic things, and he is his forte is Photoshop, and that's what he's going to be exploring with us tonight. For those of you who are joining in online in the Zoom session, feel free to unmute when you have a question and then mute back when you are done with your question. He's going to try to get to everybody's questions, comments, special requests. Hopefully we'll have plenty of time to do all the cool things. And we hope we enjoy this presentation. So Mike, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Thank you and welcome.
Great. Thank you so much for that nice introduction. I'm so glad to be back. I think we were talking, it was 2 years ago, almost to the day,
Exactly.
if not to the day, that I did my last LA Web Professionals presentation. So I'm so glad to be back. And I'm also was looking back on that too. And I will say that I feel a lot more comfortable presenting as well. I was actually in a spot that I was not, it was somebody else's house. And so the internet was kind of spotty, but I'm back in my office and feeling good and can't wait to jump in. About me, my name is Michael Mondragon. Yes, you can roll your R's if you want to, but I don't get that fancy. But I'm a 30-year graphic designer, and I'm a brand designer. I'm a graphic design educator. I'm also an Adobe community expert. And I do probably too much in life. I try to take on too much. Another thing I do is I'm the chapter lead of Type Thursday, which is a gathering for people who love typography here in Phoenix, Arizona. If you're in Los Angeles, our sister chapter is running the same date. So if you're in the Phoenix area, come out and see us. I'm also doing the Design and AI Summit, and this take control of your Adobe generative credits. It actually comes into play here. I actually had to dive in and actually learn about, how many credits does everything take. And that was actually a real chore to kind of find out kind of where credits are going with all this AI. And actually, I think it's actually going to change, probably if not this month, the next month, but definitely this year. So there's a lot to go over, and kind of there's a lot of nuances between all of this as well. And so I'm going to kind of go over this and get you to some spots where I think that you might not stumble, but you might be confused. So I'm going to do that right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull up, I'm going to start here actually on the web. And one of the things that I like to do is you can actually go to firefly.adobe.com, and I start here. The reason is there's so much in here that I don't think a lot of people really kind of know about. They usually go into the apps straight away. And when you do that, you're kind of missing a few things that might be of use to you. One of them is creating these boards. Let me click that right here. Creating these almost like Pinterest boards where you can lay things out and get colors. And it's really, really fun to do. And I use a lot of imagery when I present. So this is a great thing to do. There's actually, if you click on this, and I go to production, there's actually, this will have upscale images, which is something that we're going to be doing in app. Um, but you actually have some creative production things in here. And it's much like Adobe Express, but I think it goes a little bit deeper, especially when it comes to the AI and creating. And there's so much in here that you can do. And for those of you who are not familiar with Firefly and kind of how it works, you put in a prompt right here. It's right in the center of the page. If you go down here, you can actually create an image or a video. And then you also have models that you can build off of. So Adobe has their own models, which are commercially safe. Now, you might ask, what is the difference between Firefly Image 3 and Firefly Image 5? Well, each level is a little bit more sophisticated. You get a little bit more advancement. You also get a little bit more research development that goes into it. But this is actually the base level right here, Firefly 3. And these take generally 1 credit. So when I say 1 credit, what does that mean? So if I go up here to my account and I click on this right here, this comes up right here. And under the generative AI, you can actually see that I have actually in my plan unlimited access. And so it won't take 1 credit away. It basically just gives me whatever I want to make with the Firefly model or the Adobe models. It'll just create unlimited access. But I have premium features as well. So what's the difference? So the premium features are actually the models, much like Gemini 3.1 with Nano Banana. That would be considered a partner model. And those would take more credits. And so like if Firefly cost 1, this may be 10, could be 20, could be 60. I believe that the Chat GPT is also in one of the Adobe, the Photoshop, and it actually takes 60 credits. Will that change? Will that go higher? Potentially. But I would get in on it now and experiment while you can, because it's probably the lowest credits it's going to be. And you can buy more credits if these run low. So as you see, I have 2640 out of 4100 credits left. I've been using it a lot lately to do a lot of demonstrations. So that's where you will find that. So let's look at some of these other models. As I said, in this Firefly, you can actually use the Chat GPT model. There's actually Gemini 3. That's where the Nano Banana is. That's a very, very robust and very detailed AI source. But there's also things like Flux, Audiogram, Runway, Generate. There's too many models here, right? So we're just going to stick with the basics. We're probably just going to be using Firefly for what we're making. You can also make it at different sizes. You can make it 16:9. You can make it a square 1:1 ratio, 2:3. So again, a lot of real power here. So let me just create something. I usually do my standard, a robot on the moon. So if I just do a simple prompt and I do that, I was actually going to do it with Gemini here, but let me go to, I'm going to do the Firefly Image 5 and just push generate. I'm going to just see what it gets me. Now, it was a very simplistic prompt, and I encourage you to actually get more detailed with your prompts. So what it's going to give me with a robot on the moon is actually going to be exactly what it is. Cut and dry. And I get this, and that's it. I didn't really give it too much detail. I didn't say a robot facing me. I didn't say top view. And it put a flag in here, which I didn't ask for. So you can see if you're more detailed with this and learn how to prompt better, you can actually make a lot more. And if I wanted to regenerate this, so this is actually very interesting. So I used Firefly Image 5, and as you look down here, it actually used 10 credits. And there was only 1 picture here. In the lower models, you were getting 3 variations of this. So you can already see how this is drastically changing over time and very fast as well. So I wanted to give you just a quick overview of Firefly here, but also there is Photoshop on the web. So this is photoshop.adobe.com, and you can actually make right here, go to generate an image. And as I let it load, so right down here, I can describe what I want to do. So let me do that again. I'm going to do a robot on the moon because I always like to see, even though it's a variation or the same prompt, I might get a variation of it. Robot on the moon. So right now it says it uses no credits through Nano Banana. Let me actually change this. So right here, I only have 2. So let me go higher. And as you see, I went from 2.5, which uses 0 credits. And right here, if I go to 3.0, it uses 80 credits. So that is one thing that I learned really quickly is if your prompts aren't very specific, you're going to rack through or you're going to race through your credits pretty quickly. So in the interest of science here, I'm going to actually use the Gemini 3.0 and see what it generates me. You get this pop-up to start using the partner models. Again, read these because it'll tell you more about how it sources them and how we can be really responsible when it comes to AI. So I'm just going to press that right there. And so I'm generating. And again, this is all on the web. And again, this is something that people might have missed. They usually would go straight to the app and start working within the app. But there are a lot of advantages to this and maybe some nuances. You could make something maybe faster. And so there it is. And I'm not too impressed with it. There's my other variation of this. So it actually gives me 2 variations of this. Again, it's okay. I think if I would have been more prompt specific, I would have got a better result. So I'm just going to click out of that. Again, I just wanted to show you what's capable here. And this is getting better all the time as well. So let me hide Google Chrome here. I will hide Keynote as well. So something I also wanted to show you, I want to actually go to Creative Cloud here.
And Michael, real quick, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is it possible for us to zoom in a little bit? Your resolution is super high, so it might be a little bit more difficult.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, I can. I got to change my display. The zoom. Is that better?
Yes, that works.
Okay.
Is that okay for everybody? Give us a thumbs up if it's okay. Okay, thank you.
All Great, good to know. I added too big. All right, so in your Creative Cloud, if you go to the app Creative Cloud and wanted to know more about your account, if I put manage account, this will actually go into my plan. So the one thing that I actually want to do is I want to know where my credits are. And when I go into this, it actually doesn't say it. I wish that it did, but it doesn't. Where you can get that credits is if I click up here and if I view my generative AI balance, it actually takes me away from this and then into more specific credits. So that's where you can get your credits. Again, sometimes the different apps, the different modes that you're trying to get this information, it's in different places. So that's the one thing I learned when I started diving into this a little bit more of where these credits actually are. So I wanted to make mention of that really quickly. I also have Photoshop here. So this is what would be considered the regular Photoshop. Um, but I'm actually not going to use this. Actually, 27.4 is the one that I updated. So I actually have a couple Photoshops in here. But the Photoshop that I'm going to use for my demonstrations today is actually the beta app for Adobe Photoshop. And where can you get the beta apps? So if you go over here to Home and go to Apps, and then click on beta, you actually have access to these beta versions of not only Photoshop, you can do it with Premiere, After Effects, InDesign, Illustrator. So you can actually get the future implementation of the regular Photoshop in these beta apps. And because of that, we are actually able to do some things that are going to blow your mind. And if you haven't heard about them, they're actually going to be really super cool. And when you see them in play and how I'm going to use them, it's going to blow your mind. So this is where you would go to get these. And I use the beta all the time. It's very stable. It doesn't crash, but it gives you all those little nuances that the regular Photoshop does not have yet. So let me hide this. I'm going to pull up, this is Photoshop beta. And yeah. Okay. So one of the things that we have here, and I might have to move this. Wish I could move that. Let's see if I can. I'm going to hide. There we go. All right. I have my contextual taskbar right here. If you are not seeing that, just go to Window. Oh, of course. Go to Window here and contextual taskbar. And so one of the things that I love about Photoshop, I was actually using it wasn't in Photoshop yet, but it was called Topaz, and it was a way to upscale pictures. So now in Photoshop Beta, you can actually do that right here. So I'm just going to Command A and select all of this. And I'm going to go to bear with me for just a second. I'm get some. There we go. So I always forget where this is at. And, I always think that it's an edit because here's my other generative fill. But it's actually right here. One thing that I always tell people is that whenever you're trying to look for something and can't find it, I go to help right here, and I just would type upscale. And one of the great things about this is I just float over it and it points it out where it's exactly at. Okay, so no, it's not near all of these. It's actually under image. So if I go to generative upscale and we have this pop up, and the Firefly upscaler is my model that I'm going to use. But I also have a Topaz Gigapixel, which I've been using before. And then there's also Topaz Bloom, which actually gives more creative detail. So another one side thing that I use, because I teach it as well, is Midjourney. And Midjourney makes things very, very detailed. And I believe that this kind of mimics what that would be. But these are partner models. Okay. So I'm going to select this one in the end, but I wanted to show you Topaz Gigapixel because it also has face recovery. Okay, so if I click here, it recovers the detail in blurry or low res faces. And then I can also make this 4 times the image. So let's actually look at what size this image is. If I go to image and I go to image size and pull this up, it's actually very small. So it's 4 by 6 inches at 72 pixels per inch. So very small, not a lot of detail. But you see right here, create a new larger document with detail, open generative upscale. So you can actually do this right from the generative or the image size right here. But I'm just going to go here and I'm just going to Command A and go to generative upscale. I'm going to bring this back. And one of the things that you'll also notice right here is that I can check the generative credit usage as well. Now, this isn't in Photoshop, but eventually it will be. So you can actually check right here by clicking this, and then it'll tell you how many credits. I believe I clicked this before and it didn't go anywhere. So those are sometimes the limitations of the beta app. So if I go here, again, face recovery, I can do, if I go to Bloom, I can actually do the creativity settings, which I can let it do its thing at a high level or right in the middle. I can also make this 4 times if I wanted to, 4 times size. So I'm just going to go back here. I'm going to go to Firefly Upscaler, and I'm going to make this 4 times. So those are the dimensions I'll get. And I'm just showing this for demonstration's sake. And I will show you when it eventually, goes all the way through, what the difference is. Okay. So the one thing that I noticed already was that it upscaled it. So the Firefly model, actually, it's still blurry and not really what I wanted. So that's the Firefly right here. Let me pull this up a little bit. So here's my original, and then it upscaled it, but it still remained very blurry. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Command Z this through. And I'm going to go to history. And as you see, it actually creates a new one right here. So this is where it kind of takes it out of what it was, and it creates a new one. Okay. So let me get this history off right here. Now the reason why I showed you this is to show the kind of the capability of this. I believe, do this. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to create a new document. So we have this blurry one, but it's upsized. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flatten that image by Command E, and I'm going to go to generative upscale. And then now let's try the topaz, and I'm going to make it even bigger. So this is now going to be really a lot bigger, but the face recovery is going to be better. So let's upscale this one. And it's going to take a little bit more time depending on your computer's capabilities. And the thing I like about this is you can take a low-res picture, and usually when I get sometimes assets from some of my clients, they're not always great. And in the project that I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of show you kind of how using those and still making something really cool, it still can work. All right, so very big, but the face is actually, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what I had and what I started with. So that is the generative upscale. And again, I wouldn't leave it right here. I would actually go in and I would actually sharpen it. I have a lot of sharpening techniques, which I'm going to show you. But really quick, that's how you can upscale and actually make a low-res picture really good. So let me go here. I'm going to go to let me start here. So one of the things, actually, I'm going to zoom. I'm going to hide zoom. So one of the things that I like to do whenever I start out on a project, I always sketch it out. And the advantage is I mean, you've probably heard it a million times. Um, if you don't know kind of what you're making, go into the computer. You might spend a lot more time on it than you need to. So I'm actually going. I was actually asked by my fictitious client to make a album cover for a band called Swamp Water Revival. And so I thought to myself, what could this be? And then I got some different images. So I have put all these in here. So I have a swamp. I have this creature. I have another creature. Um, I have this arm, which uh, I'll kind of show you what I'm going to do with this because when in my fictitious brief, they also wanted a hand that was reaching out of the water, and then they weirdly wanted a shark in here too. The client's always right, right? So how am I going to work all of these in? Well, I had to start with a sketch. So I thought to myself, like, how am I going to make this? Maybe I make the creatures, make them one behind each other, using the swamp on the side. So just I have some ways that I'm going to do this. So let me start here. I'm going to go to this square. And the very first thing that I like to do in any project is create my guides. And so when I go down to guides, so I'm going to go to new guide layout. And usually I can square this off. I know where the middle is, just create some quadrants here. But I like to get a little bit deeper. So maybe six over here. So again, I have some different spaces where I could put some stuff in, and I can just toggle that off and on. Now let's go to, I have my swamp, and my swamp's looking pretty good. Now this is a place where I could be like, well, I see this stick right here, and it may not be in my shot, but I'm thinking to myself, I kind of maybe want this swamp a little bit so it doesn't have these sticks, because I think that I'm gonna put some stuff in here. If I look at my sketch, I kind of have this swamp back here, so I want that a little bit, clean that up just a little bit, and I could do that with generative fill. But that would take my credits away. I might do it with this right here. So if I float over this is my spot healing brush tool, J on the keyboard. So I'm just gonna do the brackets, and I'm just gonna take that out a little bit. And the only reason I'm doing this is just to take that stick out of there, and then so I just have a little bit more. It didn't do a super great job on it. So this is where I probably use a smaller brush and just do the stick itself, like so. And when I do that, it doesn't take away my generative credits. So I'm actually conserving them and using Photoshop's native tools. Similar with this stick, because it's in the interest of time, I would probably take this one out too, probably to get that scene in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select it all and then copy it. And I'm going to go to square. And so this will be the bottommost layer. And I'll Command V this. Now, whenever I bring something in, and if I look at the image size of this, my image size, I'm just making it 144 pixels per inch. And that's all just so things go faster. Usually I will have it about 300 because usually when I build things, I figure that I'm going to either print them. And if I need to make them smaller, I can make them smaller for the web or other devices or anything else for social media as well. So I'm just going to do that. And this picture is pretty big. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this a smart object. And usually I do this for everything. Um, and the reason is if I look here, I can push shift, or actually I will not push shift because it actually snaps. I have it the opposite way. And I can put my swamp back here and I'll rotate this. Let me bring that up a bit. So there's my swamp. And the first thing that you'll notice is, oh, well, I don't have enough swamp right here. So this is where I would use generative fill. So if I go into, if I double click on here in the smart object, there's my intact picture. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to image. I'm going to go to image size, and the anchor right here, I'm going to press right here. So if I were to change this, it would be right in the middle. But I actually want this to be at the top because I'm going to change the height of this. And if I change it to maybe 4200, now the transparency will be on the bottom. And I'll go, okay. So I probably need a little bit more than that. So canvas size, and if I do top again, let's just do 6,000. Yeah, a lot more. So if I, with the marquee tool right here, I'm going to go a little bit inside of my image, meaning I'm going to go a little bit over it. So it's just going to extend this down. And if I go to generative fill and using the Firefly model, I can actually click on here. You can see I have a lot. There's a lot of partner models coming in the regular Photoshop. But if I just click right there, but here's the exciting thing that is coming to Photoshop. If I click this right here, I can check my generative credits usage. And let's see if this comes up. Hopefully it does. It was before. So it might be because I changed my resolution, but actually if you click right here, you can actually see almost a menu that tells you exactly what the up-to-date credit is. So that's exciting that that's coming. So with this selected, I'm just going to use the Firefly model for now, the fill and expand. And if I go inside of this right here and generative fill, and I just don't type anything in here, and I just put generate. And let it do its thing.
And Michael, while you're waiting for it to generate,
Yeah.
quick question for you, because there's some really interesting conversations going on the side about um, using the generative fill and some of the other tools in comparison to using the AR Firefly components. Do you ever find yourself kind of weighing options based on the amount of credits you have or the amount of time it might take? What does it change your workflow in this process of adding this
Yeah.
in?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know yet. And the reason I say that is because I have been experimenting. I've been trying to keep up with all this. And so sometimes because I've worked with this since day one of this, I've been growing with it, but it's like it's hard to keep up with it. I'm not sure what works faster. I'm not sure what gives a better result. If I can, let me get rid of the Zoom part of this. And yeah, just right here, if I go through this, this has gotten a lot better. The Firefly model has gotten way better than what it was when it first started. And it's keeping the lighting, it's keeping a lot of the shadows, it's definitely blending it in well. So I hope that answered it in a way that I'm just saying, like, I'm still trying to keep up with what it can do. I just try to do these simple workflows and then try to expand on that. So if I were to do this for this right side, I would do it the exact same way I just showed you. Yes, it might take a few more credits, but I try to experiment and see what it gives me. And I think that's the biggest way. Just be curious about what it can do. And I like this, and it has that little symbol right here that has the generative fill. So I'm just going to save that. And then now when I go back into my square here, I have a little bit more to work with right here. And I'll probably have to scale it down just a little bit. There we go. Might even. So I have this right now. This is maintaining the aspect ratio. I might even just go up on it so I can kind of squeeze it in here a little bit because you're not really going to notice. Now, this is a fun part of this is learning the capabilities of what this can do. And it is updating faster than I can keep up with it. And this is a perfect example of it. So let's go here. So this arm in my fictitious brief is supposed to be coming out of the water. Now, obviously, it's pointing to the sky. And it's probably not what I would expect if something were coming out of the water. Well, beforehand, I would have went back to the client and said, yes, I don't think this is going to work. We probably need another shot. We probably need to shoot something. What can I do? What I'm going to do here is because this is just a regular on a white background, I'm just going to select subject. And it's going to find the subject here. And I'm just going to go down here and I'm just going to create a mask. All right. And now in Photoshop Beta, you can actually go here and go down and rotate object. Now, obviously, hands are something that are going to be difficult for AI to do, but let's see if it actually does it. So it's going to prepare this rotatable object. And if you haven't played with this, if you saw Harmonize, it's very, very similar in the way that it kind of handles it. But now I can actually rotate this up and down if I wanted to. The even more exciting part of it is I can rotate this around. So very, very exciting. And there's also a perspective as well. So I can actually go back and forth. Let me see if I can get that all the way around. Now, this is where, again, this is all new. And this is a low res preview of this. And the full details are applied when you're done. And I can actually go in here. I can actually rotate this. Maybe. So this looks a little bit more like something that may be sticking out of the water. I'm just going to get the fingers in there just a little bit more. Okay. And then I can do done. And what it's doing is it's creating this rotated image. And you'll see that it has a little icon right here that says it's a rotated object. So, and this is, for something that, let me actually go in a little bit. It's not bad. And this is where I always, with my students especially, I always say to them that never just let the AI just do it for you, because there has to be some sort of little nuance to it. This looks a little bit too polished. Okay. So if I go, I'm going to create another layer. I can shift and select both of these, and I'm going to do Command E. And now this just made this a regular layer. If I go here and I'm going to go to adjustment layer, and maybe I'll put a little bit of grain on here, and it always puts a mask on here, which I don't need at this point, but I can actually, let me go on a little bit. I'm just going to create a little bit of grain on this just to make it a little bit rougher because I'm actually going to be seeing this from far away, but I wanted to show you the power of this. And what I can also do is I'm going to duplicate this. So I'm pushing Control, actually Option right here. And I'm going to create another hand layer over this. And this is something I do to sharpen things, but also kind of make them a little bit more photorealistic. I'll go down here to Filter, High Pass, and then make these kind of neutral right here, and then do Overlay. Okay, so a little bit more realistic. If I take these grain and high pass off, you can see that's very, very smooth, whereas I can make this hand. And again, this hand was completely turned around at one point. So let me do this. I'm just gonna actually gonna Command E and pull all those together, Command A, copy, and let me go back to my swamp right here. And I'm gonna rename this swamp. And if I double click in here, so if I paste, and I'll make this a smart object. I'll make this hand. And Command T, I'm just going to scale this down, holding Shift. And see if I can go in right here. It's going to put that right there. And maybe I'll put it right here just so you can see it a little bit better. And one of the great things about this is I can take this hand and I'm going to pull these together and Command E. So it's just one layer right here. And if I select hand and then go here to harmonize, another feature that's only in Photoshop beta, but coming to Photoshop soon, I hope. And if I push harmonize, now what it's doing is taking this hand and it's matching it to the swamp water. So let's see what it gets us. Hopefully it'll relight it and put it in here, maybe even put a reflection as well, which would be very nice. A little bit. It actually has some variations over here if you look in the properties.
Alan adds that he thinks harmonize is quite magical when it works.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is where I find some of the limitations. So instead of having it kind of go into the water, it actually isn't doing it. This one is kind of trying. And the one thing that I noticed is it creates a mask for it. And it's kind of creating a little bit of a reflection on here. But again, this is where what you're trying to do sometimes, it doesn't play nice sometimes. But this is where, because it gave it a shadow as if it was on top. But yeah, in perfect situations where things, so this is where I'm trying to push it maybe a little bit too much. I think that what this is used for is maybe if something's on a table, like a glass or a cup, it'll create those shadows and the light sources. But this, I try to push it. I try to think, how can this be better? How can I really push this? So, so harmonize is maybe not going to work for this specifically. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to both these, and you can see here it when I move this, that's what it creates. Okay, so it's trying to match it to this swamp water. So Again, not exactly what I was looking for, um, but this is where I would work this a little bit more. I do want to do one thing. So I'm going to actually take this off, and I'm just going to go back to what I had before, just Command S. So that, this is where all of these different things, and when you try to push it into something, you know, more, you're going to find the limitations of it. And I was hopefully expecting it to at least do the reflection. But let's do this. Let's go back here. I have my creatures. So I'm going to do this one first. So the interesting thing about this is I probably need a little bit more of the head. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to go to canvas. I'm going to I'm going to put that anchor on the bottom, and I'll make this 6,000 in the height. So what I need to do is actually make it another layer. So we actually have a floating layer here, and I'll just get rid of that. Now, canvas size, anchor, 6,000. Okay, so I have that transparency, and I want to create the top of this head. So I'll go to generative fill and just press generate. And when it does it, I really am impressed about like what it creates. And now this is something that I'm noticing too. So if I go through these, I notice that also the backgrounds are different, and it seems to create like a higher, probably a bigger head than I wanted it. Like for instance, if I were to use this one, I would probably take this Command T and pull this down a little bit.
Is there a reason
So,
why you're not using the crop tool for this?
yeah, I'll show you exactly why, because I'm basically going to take this out of it. I'm actually just using this as my canvas. And so I'll show you exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to Command E. Now I can select the subject, because I want this background out of here. And so this is the reason why. And if I'm just going to, just for being fast, I'm just going to flatten this layer. So I just have the transparency here. Command A, Command C, and then I will bring that in, create a smart object, and I'll do creature 1. Bring that in. Now this is where, do this right there. So I have this right here. If I pull these in, so this is where I can actually make this so the creature matches the swamp. And I think this is where Harmonize actually works really well. So because of the lighting on here, you can see the lighting's on the side of the creature's face, but the lighting in the swamp is actually different. So if I select creature here, then I do harmonize, it's actually going to make these two together and actually change the lighting. So this is where I feel that harmonize is going to be a real game changer when it comes to creating lighting effects. And this is a way that I wish that I would have had harmonize a long time ago, because I would have to do this the manual way and do it. Now, it created actually a harsher look than I actually wanted. The great thing about this is I can select this layer and actually use the blending modes on this. So you can still get really creative with this. Let me go down here to overlay, and I'll pull this back a bit. So again, that's what I started with. And then now it kind of matched it a little bit better. And the swamp back here, I actually want to make that a little bit darker. So let me, I like to fill it in with kind of like this color right here, just more a gray. And then I can not color burn. I want to do maybe multiply. Maybe pull that back just a little bit. So this is where I can't, let's see. If I go here and I'm going to go to my other creature. So I have this creature. I'm going to do the same thing. Canvas size. Let's do 1,000. Actually, I want to make a layer of that. I skipped that step. Let me get rid of that background layer. So we have that transparency. Canvas size. 8,000. And I want to create that top of the head as well. Go to generative fill, generate. And when it goes through, I'm actually, I like the fact that I actually get 3 different versions of this. So these are a little bit more, yeah, I want to get this one because there's a little bit less friction right there. It's going to pull those together. And might lighten this up just a little bit so I can get some of these details in here. Yeah, that's much better. And then select subject. And so I think the question before was using the cropping. I actually like creating really fast, and I feel like sometimes the cropping itself, it's just not my workflow. But I know that there are tons of advantage using that as well. All right, so then now if I create that layer mask, I'm going to create a new layer and then Command E. So I'll Command C. And I'm going to go into this right here. I'm going to bring these, make sure that here. So I'm going to get a little bit more of that detail out and go to those midtones. And then, so what I want to do is, and this is the great thing also, because it's a smart object, I can turn on and off these levels.
Bradley wants to know really quickly.
Yeah.
He says, why is your method of selecting subject versus remove background?
It's literally just my preference.
Okay.
And the reason is because I like creating these masks. Usually in my process, I will use masks. I'm not doing that for this one, only just for the sake of time. But that's usually why I like to do it. Because I always like, I actually use these masks. So if I go here, I actually like refining them and actually going in. And I actually go in sometimes and actually draw a little bit more where the hairs are to get those fine details. Again, it's just, that's me working for 30 years in Photoshop. Some habits die old. And, but if I Command V right there, I have this layer. And this is my other creature. And it's so big that it actually goes off. Creature 2. Go to my select tool. So I want this guy behind creature 1. And because it's so big right here, I'm actually Command T, make sure that it's linked. Move that over. And slot this guy right behind. Now, there we go. So I'm going to move this over just a bit, give this guy a little breathing room. And again, this is really intricate, and I could go in here and go into here. Yeah, before I would have had a mask on here just to get that detail. What I also like to do as well is this, and I showed you it a little bit before. There's a lot of detail in here, and what I do is I will duplicate this. I'll go to high pass, and it creates this kind of like almost kind of HDR a little bit. If I do the overlay, I can get a lot of that detail back in there. I can actually push it back a little bit, make it a little bit more natural. Yeah, but I would be have this mask on here as well. Another one that I like to use as well, whenever I'm trying, like for instance, I'm at the mercy of my computer here. With this high pass, I'm going to turn that high pass off. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll go in here and I like to use this shadow and highlights, and I can get, for instance, a lot more detail out of this. And that's a way that I could do it as well. So for the sake of time, I will save that.
Tom wants to know, is high pass a filter or a blending mode?
So high pass is actually a filter. And the way that I used to use it is when I was doing packaging design, one of the things that we would always get from our clients is that the actual photography of whatever was shot isn't sharp enough. So when it's printed, they wanted more detail in it. So that using the high pass, let me see if I can. I'm going to go back into this. So you can see this. So this layer right here, let me do the opacity. So it's just taking this picture and then creating this kind of neutral with, and it has a lot of detail in here. And then after that, we go into the blend modes and usually overlay. Because if I were just to keep it normal, it would just be these grays, but we really get a lot of the detail out of this. It was just like a little trick. So I'm going to toggle this on and off. You can see how it's got a lot more detail to it, a lot sharper. So that's why, again, this is something I learned like 15, 20 years ago, and I always use it kind of like in my workflow. So it's a filter that goes to a blending mode. So that. And of course, it's slow.
Yeah, Alan says the effect is very similar to clarity in Camera Raw or Lightroom. It's like adjusting
Yes,
the mid-range contrast. Yeah, that's very
100%.
effective.
Yep. And so if I here.
Oh, and
So,
Victoria was giving you hearts on that last run.
oh, great. Thank you for that. Yes. So this is, again, I didn't have the best assets, but now I can make better things out of it. I can actually put this maybe the title here, and that's another thing too. Is I'm always looking for ways to take these elements, make them make more out of them, but also give me spaces where I can put like this. I could put like usually I like to make little buttons and stuff like that. I like to make type that runs through this, and so really quickly usually when I'm done, I can, this display is actually throwing me off a little bit only because I can't see all my layers. So again, for the sake of time, I'm just going to flatten it real quick. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into levels here. And just adjust these a little bit. And for good measure, I can always go back into this, and this is where I can actually do that high pass again, but do it, I had it at 12, which is actually pretty high. If I just do it at 2 and just get those subtle overlay, maybe pull it back just a little bit. So I'll Command C, and one of the things that I love having is these mock-ups where I can actually throw it into something and get a good look of it. If I double click on the smart object, which we used before, I can actually kind of see, I can mock it up really quickly. And I think that I even did this last time where I went in and I had this. So not create that smart object. And I'm going to size this up. Save it. And I've been collecting these assets. So I've had these album covers, I have other little things, and now you can actually mock things up pretty quickly on 3D models. This, but I always think that this is the look that I'm actually going for. Whenever I'm making something and I can make this really quickly, I feel like this is better than actually using sometimes Photoshop or Illustrator's mock-up abilities. And I can go into here because this final record, I don't think it should be red. I actually think that it should be, go here. I'm going to go to maybe this color. Go into this maybe more of a green. There we go. So I love doing these types of things really fast, and sometimes it doesn't look like it's going anywhere, and then all of a sudden, bang, here we are, and it's got this really great vintage feel. So I think this is a good concept for Swamp Water Revival. My fictitious client. Again, I hope you got a lot out of this. I actually was I was a little disappointed with the harmonize with the arm because, and I didn't test it before on purpose, only because I wanted to see what it did. But I did test the rotate, and I was really surprised at what it could make. So again, those are in Photoshop beta, not the regular. Eventually, it will be. But I'm just wanted to show you a little bit of my my method to my madness whenever I'm kind of creating or making things with assets that sometimes aren't the greatest. So how do you make use of them and make them better? So I hope you got a lot out of that, and I'm definitely interested to hear feedback, but also questions as well.
Absolutely. And feel free to join in, anyone who has questions for Mike, if you want to unmute and let him know. We're getting lots of kudos and thank yous, and this was fascinating. And alternative album covers, titles for for this particular project.
Sure.
Anybody want to join in? If you have questions, let them know. Amit says, I like the concept of curating textures, and that's the way I used to fix faces in the past. Finding the right curated texture has been an issue, though. Yeah, yeah, just trying to find good sources and stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing a Creative Pro. I'm speaking at Creative Pro and in July,
Mm,
and the session is called, like, a punk rock approach to modern design. And one of the concepts in it is actually making stuff look gritty. It's something that basically what really made me love digital art was making things look like they were scratchy, or like this has reflection, the little details, and making it cool, but also making, using grain effectively, also using that that what was it, the high pass filter,
mhm.
using that also kind of makes things look kind of different, or kind of retro, or just a little bit off. And I think that needs to come back a little bit, only because I feel like, things even like this look too polished. So how do you make them gritty and more dirtier?
How do you make them look not too perfect, right?
When I started my career, I remember the bevel and emboss,
Mhm,
and I remember that being like the end all be all. Like, it was like, oh, everything you had to have bevel and emboss. What I
mhm.
learned, um,
Sorry, there you go. Yeah,
oh,
we didn't see your video. There you go.
oh, got it. What I learned was from my creative director at the time is you're supposed to make it look like it's not made by a computer. And I always remember that. And whenever, like, people are heavy handed with like shadows, or, everything doesn't need a shadow. Some things can just lay there, but they have a subtle shadow, or, something. I try to make things look less computer generated, where a lot of today's, especially with AI art, it's supposed to have a certain type of look. And this has kind of, been my theme throughout my career. But now I'm trying to use it and use it effectively, but still take it back to my realm and make it look realistic, and not let the AI be the end point. Actually, it's going to be the starting point, and using AI as kind of a way of continuing my artistic thoughts.
Absolutely. Bradley has a question for you.
Sure.
Not necessarily a question, but a tip that I've been telling everybody. If you want to get the best prompts, I've built a prompt library by just prompting my styles into either a project like on OpenAI, or even in an on computer one, LM Studio, where I have a giant list of text documents for the different types of styles of art that I want to do. And then I just give it a small little detail, and then it spits out this whole big paragraph. So that way I have a better prompt. So I'm not wasting all my prompting credits, because I've hit that end of credit line many times.
Mm.
Absolutely.
That's a great tip. And it's almost like me, like, I'm a digital hoarder. Like, I literally have hard drives and hard drives of, like, stuff. I don't even know where things are at this point. I actually go through them to see, like, I'm like, oh, there that is. It's like I've been just doing this for decades. But I feel now, you're right. There is going to be a digital depository for all these prompts, and what gets you the best prompt. It's almost like, hoarding a clip art, or different assets. Just having those proper words for the proper things that you're trying to make, and the looks that you're trying to make as well. So I think that's a brilliant idea.
Well,
I
that's
have
Yeah,
a
been that's
Yeah.
been my problem is okay, great. I work for 25 years, oh, this project has this nice asset, but I feel like it, in a way it just slows me down in most projects. I'm like, oh, I remember I was using that thing, but I don't know where it is.
Sure.
And
Mhm.
what do you do?
That's my everyday.
So what I do is I have a giant spreadsheet of
Oof.
every prompt I've generated, a
Wow.
thumbnail in the first
Mhm.
cell, so that way I have a reference to what I had and a link to that prompt library.
Right.
And
Have,
I did, I was on board with Microsoft's recall, but essentially I use OpenCode and LM Studio, and I've formatted my own recall that way I could turn it on when I'm prompt engineering. So when I'm setting up the puppeteering and getting everything set up, it's already building it for me and then already storing it for me. So that way I don't have to try to reconfigure everything I need to do and forget to turn something on.
and Bradley, Tom wanted to know, can you use LM Studio offline?
Oh yeah, LM Studio is a local language model engine, and it actually is by Hugging Face. It is not open source, but they have open source models and they have tiny models. So small language models that you could do for like grammar checking, and they almost all work pretty good for prompt engineering.
Excellent, excellent. I have a friend, Jerlyn O'Donnell on LinkedIn. She has been training her own agents off of her own art styles for the last 3 years. So now it knows her style in and out and only produces what she um, is intending, and it saves her a lot of credits and a lot of time as well. So I think
Yes.
that's kind of the direction we're all heading in some shape, form, or fashion for those who are willing to experiment with it that far.
Yes, and a little birdie told me that you may be able to do it within these programs soon. Um,
Probably.
so you could, yes, you might be able to do some extraordinary things, and you'll be ahead of the curve on that. So there's again, this is all moving very quickly, and like I'm having to kind of make my process right now is upside down because I know the way that I do things and the way I make things, and I sometimes realize I am going the long way. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it isn't, and I'm trying to figure out with all of this what is the better route, what is the better solution for this. So again, just being curious and getting in here and doing this, you're going to find that. So just even hearing that you're doing that type of um, you know record keeping when it comes to these prompts is kind of mind bending to me that that can be done, because I'm like, of course, that makes total sense, and it
Yeah,
actually will be economical in the end, saving you those credits.
absolutely. And
Well,
I
not
know we're not going to wait another 2 years to get you in again, Mike, but we wanted to say we appreciate your presentation today. And maybe within the next 2 years, where do you think all of this is going to be? What's your hot take, your hot spin?
Oh, I was just in the middle of the NVIDIA. It was kind of like their big presentation. I think it was yesterday.
Mhm.
Um, I think that kind of like the computers that we're using, that it's the computers that are going to be sold in the next 5 years are not going to resemble them, and it's this whole thing is going to be turned on its ear. Like you can't even imagine. Like we're going to be buying computers that are strictly AI, which is
Yeah.
kind of interesting to think about, as far as like where does that put like Photoshop? Where does that put Illustrator? These tools that I have been using for a majority of my life. Um, but I think that eventually it is going to come to literally computers that are strictly AI based. And um, so what does that look like for our for Adobe, for any really application program? It's going to be very interesting, and I think it's going to move fast. It's going to be here sooner than later.
Absolutely. And Alan says, curiously though, AI first computers did not sell at all well, but considering that Shantanu just stepped down, yep, Victoria just put it in, the Adobe CEO has just stepped down in the last 5 days, and they're waiting, Adobe's waiting to find out who's gonna take the realm or take the helm of the company and drive this next generation or this next aspect. Yeah, Richard with the O face, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be some interesting times to see. Hannah says she's taking it. I love it.
Yes.
Go, Hannah, go.
Yeah. And also I also think it was a in the last couple of years, it's been, or at least 3 years, since all of this has been in Adobe platforms and applications, it's been an arms race. Like everybody's trying to be that leader in AI. So it, again, the timing of this is very interesting. And I think something's big is even bigger than we even know is going to happen this year. And I think this was one of the first kind of indications that that's going to happen.
Right. And Daniel says we should all vote for Hannah.
Yes.
Just be prepared, vote for Hannah. But our next meeting is coming up on April 28th, and that is going to be Adobe Firefly overview, the good, the bad, and the impacts to creative workflows with our dear friend Kevin Stallmeyer, who is one of the Adobe consultants and reps. So we are loving that we're going to have somebody who's actually on the inside who can maybe give us a little bit of a scoop and prep us for the next part. So in the meantime, I want to say thank you, Michael. You did a fantastic job. Everybody give Mike a big hand. Woo-hoo. And if you want to drop your contact information in the chat so they know where to follow you and how to get a hold of you in case they have other questions or want to come to your training, just let them know how they can get a hold of you. And yes, Creative Pro Week is coming up. Was that mid-April and then April online and then June.
Yeah, beginning of June, July.
Yep.
Yep. And then
so we'll put those notes in there too.
Design and AI Summit is coming up. There's this is part 1, and then there's part 2 that's later on this year. And that's where I am. Definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, also on Instagram, Mondragon Design or Mondragon Design.
Mondragon. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Daniel Kramer, who is going to do our raffle, and then we'll wind up for the evening.
Right before you do, share Stephen Byrne's screen. He's going to talk about the raffle prizes.
Okay. Stephen, you should be able to share your screen.
Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. All right, I'll share it just a moment.
Okay.
And I'm sharing now. There we go. And there we go. All right. All right. So, all right. So the raffle, I think we talked about the workshop, the photography workshop, and then the photography classes. So we're going to raffle those off. Everybody, is it an online thing that you guys do?
Yeah, he does the spinning wheel with the names. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so here we go. Hello, everybody. I'm Stephen Burns. I run the Photoshop users group here in San Diego. I think we're still the largest Photoshop users group in the country. We're an official Adobe Photoshop users group. And our meetings are all online, just like you guys. Except we kind of use Twitch as the vehicle to for everybody to interact with. But I figured we'll give away one of my 5-week introduction to Photoshop workshops. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my website address into the chat box for everyone's convenience. And you can see my screen here, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of walk through it. So if you go to the workshop section, you got the Photoshop workshops. And the ones that are coming up is the introduction. I don't allow people to go into the advanced. It's either I have them go into the introduction and or the intermediate if you already have a good, strong beginning level introduction to Photoshop education. So we'll be and each of these are 5 weeks long. So we meet every Thursday, 7 to 9 in the evenings. Each class is recorded, and you get a little bit of homework to go home. We meet once a week, and you get the recording of each class. So that's 5 recordings. So, and then the second one that we're going to do today is the photography work is 30% off on the photography workshops. They're 3.5 day workshops. We're out in the field. We just finished the Joshua Tree. That was fabulous. Death Valley is coming up April 7th to the 10th. And then the Eastern Sierra, which is actually fabulous. The colors are off the charts up there. You got Bodie Ghost Town on the agenda. We have Mono Lake on the agenda. Bishop Creek is also on the agenda. So it's a very, very different place from Death Valley. So if anyone is interested in either of those, they go put your head into the spin of the wheel.
All right, go over to my screen now.
All right.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And I'm going to place my email into the chat box now.
Okay. Victoria.
Victoria is the first one.
Congratulations.
Send me your number and email, and
Congratulations.
that's going to go straight to Stephen Burns, and he'll connect you to the prize.
And
Nice.
Victoria,
Thank you.
he dropped his email in the chat, so
Yes.
you can also contact him directly that way as well.
Thank you kindly. Thank you,
Mhm.
Stephen.
You're
Okay, now
welcome.
for the
And I'm
next
looking
one.
so forward to seeing you in the class.
Mhm.
And this
Got
one
more.
is for the 30% off on the photography workshops. James DeMonico.
James, are you
DeMonica.
here? I don't think James is here tonight.
Oh, well, we got to spin it again. You got to be here.
Let's see. I think it might be Anna Maria. There you go. Anna Maria, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Feel free to unmute. There you go. You're unmuted.
Is Anna Maria?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
I'm here. I can't
Yeah.
accept the 30% off at this
Okay.
time right now, so we should give it to somebody, to Bill.
All right.
Okay.
Should we spin again?
So, Bill, do you
It's
want
just
it?
Bill. I'm not sure if Bill is here either. Yeah, I think Bill is not here.
Oh, is that only 3 people left?
All right. So here's what we're gonna do now. In the chat, Stephen, think of a number from 1 to 40. Everyone put a number in the chat. Whoever gets the closest number gets it.
All right, I'm going to get a notepad here from 1 to 40. I'm going to type it into the notepad. All right, so do we have numbers in the chat?
I don't see anybody adding them in.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, Mike says 19.
All right. Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Okay, so Mike's going to get it.
Mike's got it. All right.
You might give Stephen your info.
Mike,
Hello
were you
there.
able to get? There
Hello,
you go.
hello,
Hey, Mike.
Well,
welcome.
and to be fair, I won it 2 months ago. I'm signed up for May, so I really you're having a hard time giving this away because I won it recently and not sure he wants to do it again for me. Hey, Steve.
Hey, how you doing? It's good to see you. Hey, you win again. You win again.
All right, I'll take it. We'll talk soon.
All right. All right. So you got my email address there?
I do. Yeah,
Okay,
I know it.
Send me your information, email, so I don't have to go look for it.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, thanks, man.
All right, take
All
care.
right. Well, we just want to say thank you for everybody coming out. Thank you again, Michael, for doing such a great presentation.
Yes, thank you.
And happy St. Patty's Day.
Yes.
Go get your green beer. He's got his green shirt on. He's ready to go. All right. And we will see you. I think Daniel put the link. Our next meeting again is April 28th. Come join us. We
And the
love having you guys.
following meeting, and the meeting after that will be with Hannah Messer.
Beautiful.
So we have a great lineup ahead.
Yes, yes. Come back and join us. We appreciate you, everybody. Take care
All
and
right.
have a great evening.